welcome to Storytime at the Roovians, a bi-weekly podcast about the Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival. I'm your host, Sharla.
And I'm Daniel, and we have a special guest with us the whole time this week.
Hey guys, I'm Matt Chapman. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Matt. So if anybody stops by our Discord, I think we commonly refer to you as Matty there.
Matty Chap, yeah, I've been called worse. So.
What are you up to this evening?
Right now, just sitting at home, talking to you guys. Excited to be talking about Bonnaroo, talking about our lives, festivals in general, and everything else we're going to go over tonight.
Heck yeah. So yeah, we do have some stuff to dig into here in a little bit, but I wanted to hear from you first. So we haven't actually talked with you since Bonnaroo that much. Of course, we talk on the Discord all the time.
The Braves came together, got to chat a bit there.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I want a little bit from you about what's been going on for you this summer. What was some of your favorite shows at Roo, stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Some of my favorite shows at Bonnaroo, Chasing Golden Hour, that Grizz set is right up there. And sticking to the Golden Hour time period, Paramore was just outstanding. Both of those moments were huge highlights.
Now, that Paramore show, I was against the wall with Evan and some of our crew waiting on the Foo Fighters, but where did you end up at?
I was all around the parachutes with the parachute people. My whole group, I think about 70 of the Squeak Squad, which is, for those of you that don't know me, listen to this, my group is one of the larger private groups in the group camping area. We try to get together for the big shows. That's one where I think we had 70 plus of us there, and we were hanging out with the parachute people right there in the front of the crowd.
Well, since you mentioned it, let's talk about that a little bit. Tell us about the Squeak Squad. What are the origins? Who are some of the Roovians that others may know? What's some of the events that you guys put on?
So it started, this was my 12th Bonnaroo. I think this group started maybe 8 or 9 years ago, and it came together really organically, as things do on the farm. You make friends, and next thing you know, those friends are best friends, and you're meeting up for multiple festivals a year and planning to get together. It started when I met Steve from Orlando, myself and a group of Atlantans, some friends from Orlando. The next year, we had some people that we met from Minnesota, from Chicago, from Denver, from Miami, kind of all around the country, to the point now that in our group digitally, there's, I think, 280 members. And for a festival like Bonnaroo, we have anywhere from 60 to 130 of us come together from around the country, really around the world. You make friends at a festival, you get to know people, and then find every excuse you can to hang out with them again. We do a few other festivals too, we're all getting ready for Halloween. I think there's going to be about 70 of us there. And just grew organically through the farm.
Now, since you mentioned it, we'll get back to the other stuff in just a moment, but I want to hear a little bit about Halloween. I haven't been myself, but I hear nothing but amazing things. What can you tell us about Halloween? How would a Roovian consider hula? What are the differences? What are the similarities?
So Bonnaroo has things going in Bonnaroo's favor that no other festival in the world can do. The grounds, the farm is just a magical place. The sound production is unparalleled. Bonnaroo has the money and the backing, and because of that, they also have the amenities on the campgrounds. It's nice. Being in Bonnaroo is tough at times. It can be 6-7 days in the heat. It feels like a marathon, but everything you need is there and it's available. Halloween's a little more traditional camping when you think of it. You can have a bonfire at night, and some nights when it gets cold, you might need it. And the production is fantastic. They do a great job putting it on, but it's not as big as Bonnaroo. It caps at 20,000 people. All that being said, for anybody that's been to a smaller festival that gets really weird, Halloween gets the weirdest. I love Electric Forest. I love Burns. It brings all those vibes together. There's interactive art that goes all night long. They have some of the most amazing non-musical performances you'll ever see. There are dancers. I've walked in on random plays being performed in a secret garden that I found going through a maze. I one time found a secret tunnel, and I crawled through it, and I arose upon a stage out of the fake fireplace was there. And there were two women dressed in BDSM nun costumes that began ridiculing me for having entered their back door during their performance.
This sounds like Burning Man kind of stuff.
Right?
It has Burning Man vibes. It has Burn vibes all over. There's so much of the artwork too is done by attendees that are artists that are given a grant to go there and be a part of this festival. I'm sure you've seen the giant wooden trolls. There's a
Yeah.
couple of pieces by that guy that remain forever. Spirit of Swanee Music Park. One of them is a giant spider, and if you find the hole, you can crawl in the spider's butt and hang out with people in there.
Okay,
There's a casino that's barter only, Frick Fracks, which does a lot of other festivals, things like that that travel. And Halloween, yeah, it's a whole totally different vibe of magical. It's more, nighttime stuff. Everybody's in weird costumes. There's lights, and the lights are all over the trees and the water. It's beautiful at night. But at the same time, it doesn't have all the amenities Bonnaroo does, and Bonnaroo has the ability to make things happen that nowhere else can. I've seen, Nos flying by helicopter to join the BC Boys at Bonnaroo. That's not going to happen anywhere else on Earth except maybe, Coachella, right? So
I've heard that Hula is a little bit more like bookish than Bonnaroo.
Yes, 100%, and that's kind of what I'm getting at there, where it's much more in the woods, many fewer amenities. It gets a lot weirder. You have some smaller artists, but man, it's magical. And if you guys can make it, I'd love for y'all to come and join my group. So.
Oh man, one of these days we have
Please do
this year.
I'm going to add that one to my list now.
Bonnaroo's home. That's where I met, my festival family years ago at Bonnaroo, and it's made me a much better person. But Halloween has become maybe my actual favorite music festival to attend, just because of how weird it gets out there in those woods.
Now, I know people are going to look into it and they're going to find that it's a little bit more pricey. But that's actually for good reason. It's one of the last few independently run festivals like that. And they kind of need to price it that way to stay afloat. So I'm totally understandable about that.
Oh, yeah, it's expensive. And there's no denying that, especially when you look at the lineup you get. It's a fantastic lineup, but you're paying more than Bonnaroo for half as many artists.
I think they're the very few festivals that actually got pretty lights this year.
They're pretty much one of only 2 or 3 in the calendar year. I think Pretty Lights will do more in 2024, but as part of his comeback, they're one of only 2, I think.
Oh, yeah. I feel like there's a very decent chance we get him at Roo next year.
I do, too. I think it's very likely to get another Pretty Lights late night, like what was that year, 2015 or 13, when he played for hours in the tent. It was just incredible.
Yeah. Speaking of group, that's where the group name Trying to Go to Bed came from.
Is that really?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that
myself, but I heard from I think it was Ron from the Parachute People that told me that one time. That's where it came from. It was like 4 or 5 a.m. and he sees from the stage that everybody's getting a little tired. And he's like, "You trying to go to bed out there, Bonnaroo?"
I love that.
So tell us a little bit about what the Squeak Squad has been up to. What kind of events have you guys had lately?
So we have not done much since Bonnaroo. I organize and plan everything for the group, and Bonnaroo just kind of takes it out of me. That being said, we do get together in smaller organized events. Our good friend Dave just turned 40, and about 15 or 20 of the group joined him out in Zion National Park, and they rented a house, and they look like they had an amazing time. I'm sad I missed it. It was actually ending today. Somebody's flying back to stay at my place tonight, so he can drive from Atlanta back to his home in Alabama. We've got people coming together for Dragon Con. As I mentioned, Halloween coming up. Our friend's hosting a little pool party at his home that we're all going to go to, or not all of us, but probably 30 or 40 of us are going to fly and drive in from around the country for his birthday celebration. And we always do shaky knees as well. So it's events like that where Bonnaroo's where we get 100 plus. The rest of the time, it's going to be 20 to 30 or 50, 60 at Halloween.
That's amazing. You guys sound like a really tight-knit group, getting a lot of the same people to go to a lot of these other type of events, especially Dragon Con. I'm jealous. I wish I could go with you.
Yeah, I wish you could too. Come on, drive. It's not a far drive. I live a mile away, and I have a hotel room just so I can party harder.
Oh, you drive a hard bargain.
And I will be in costume every night. You can come be a Sailor Man with us.
Not Sailor Moon, Sailor Man.
Sailor Man. Yeah, we're going to be the Sailor Men. There's 9 of us in pleated skirts, schoolgirl outfits, going as the various Sailor Moon, Sailor Scouts.
Okay, so we should for anybody that hasn't heard of this insanity, Dragon Con is like a Comic Con-ish type event that happens in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend. But Comic Con has been, sucked in by Hollywood. You go to see Robert Downey Jr. or the other Avengers. But Dragon Con is more about the people and the costumes and the fan-made stuff.
Dragon Con has a lot of celebrity stuff. This year, Sean Astin and Elijah Wood are going to be there signing together. So they're going to have the Lord of the Rings table. Paul Bettany's going to be there. A lot of big name actors, performers. A lot of the Star Trek crew were there every single year. Adam Savage is doing a panel at Dragon Con this year talking about cosplay making, working in special effects, Mythbusters. That goes on, but the difference is they don't have the big 3-hour panels. Dragon Con will have a bunch of 30-minute to an hour-long panels or small events, and they focus more on the costuming, the community aspect, and the late-night parties. Most Dragon Cons, the raves go to 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh, it's insane. That's one thing that it does share in common with Bonnaroo. We last went in 2018, and I think 2 of the most memorable panels that I ever saw at anything were at that. So Adam Savage was there that year too. It was very free-flowing. He didn't really have a lot prepared, but it was cool because of that. He brought out a lot of the costumes that he admired and talked with them on stage, like, how did you make that? What was the process for that? And another one that was super cool was a panel full of voice actors. I forget who hosted it. It was a guy that has like a really popular blog about cartoons and stuff. But the panelists were Tom Kenny, the guy that does SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yeah. George Lowe, the guy that was Space Ghost for us 90s kids. Who else was there? John DiMaggio, who does the voice of Bender on Future.
So John DiMaggio and Phil Lamar are back this year, and they're doing the voice actor panel again. That's an every year event. They do a voice actor panel. Yeah, and Billy West also have. Yeah, Billy West is great.
Yeah, he does like half the voices on Futurama, so that was fun.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And that panel was super cool because it would like they only spent about 15 or 20 minutes talking about interview type questions. The rest of it was Saturday Night Live type skits, improv, in all of their characters' voices. It was the coolest thing.
Yeah, I love events like that where you just get these unique one-off experiences, people that are that artistic and that talented, vibing and riffing off one another and just creating something for fans like you or I or anybody else who might attend that is a unique experience that years later we're sitting here talking about it. How awesome is that?
I've got to get back over there with you.
Please do. You're welcome anytime in Atlanta. I've got a guest room for you all. So.
Oh gosh. Well, we got one for you too here. You got to come crash the Halloween party.
I'd love to, yeah.
Whole bus, room in the back of the house. So Matty, these events are fun, but we wanted to talk about events from another perspective today. And you're here because you were so helpful to us this year. In fact, you won one of our Roovian awards for being so darn helpful with these kind of things. So we're starting to transition our content a little bit. I want to be able to help out people that could potentially win our scholarships from our new foundation. So I think you are one of the best people to ask for advice on this. When you're putting together an event at Bonnaroo with Squeak Squad, or you're helping us or another group out, what are some of the biggest things that come to mind from you for tips how to put together a campground event at Roo?
It's interesting to talk about that. You know, my background isn't in event management or anything like that. I have degrees in film and creative writing. I've fallen into doing this because I love being with my friends, and it's very different than when I've done project management at work. The nice thing about the festival, and I think people get intimidated when they look at, oh, you have 100 people coming together. You have to organize everybody to park. Who's bringing this? If you're doing this show this night, you need to have power, music, this or that. The nice thing about Bonnaroo is it is a community, and all these festivals are. You're never doing it alone. Somebody does have to take the reins. They have to be responsible enough to organize what the primary needs are for your event or your party, whatever it is. They need to be able to say, we're going to need A, B, C, all down the line, start to dole out or designate where those things are going to come from, reach out and ask for help. Like you guys did, said, hey, we might need this. And I said, I have it. My group has that already. If you need it, it's yours, because we're friends. We're part of that community. And I've gotten better at this by reaching out to the fantastic people over at Redaroo over the years. Mitchell and Jason have helped me.
Oh, yeah.
Some of our other group friends have helped us in the group camping area. In fact, another group kind of joined ours years ago after helping us with an event. It just made sense to become one and kind of meld or merge. It's a community, but it does take, to your point, and I know you guys dealt with this, and Sharla did an amazing job organizing your stuff, everything she did this year. We spoke a lot. You have to be in charge of it, but you also can't try and do all of it by yourself, because you're just going to drive yourself crazy.
Well, I know this year, one of the things that helped me out a lot was just connecting with people online, particularly using Discord as a way to connect with people. And I had never really used Discord before this year. You know, in the past I had used Twitter, but not just our Discord, but the one that I had set up for Rubus, but just using the main Bonnaroo Discord. And then there's a couple other Bonnaroo Discords out there as well, and just connecting with everybody in that.
Yeah, and that's how I began connecting more with. I met you all last year, and we'd spoken before, but Discord brought us together and connected us more. And there's all these great tools in the modern day and age where it takes that festival community, that burn community, which is so centralized to a specific location. Now it is digital. Now you can communicate or connect around the country, around the year. Right now, we're in different states having this conversation about this. So that's a perfect example of it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Discord has kind of stepped in as the main social networking, for me at least. I know it is for others. I mean, let's be honest, now that Twitter isn't even Twitter anymore, it's kind of slowly going down the drain. Instagram, great for just sharing, adventures with friends. And Facebook, let's be honest, it's starting to turn into a platform for the olds. So
I use Facebook specifically for my festival organizing because of the group function.
I
don't use Facebook for anything else, but I have a private Facebook group for my Bonnaroo group that we utilize because I can put polls, photos, posts where people can comment or come back and forth. I can post links there, and it all stays organized in that group, and I can moderate it. But other than that, Facebook is a nightmare.
Well, it's even going to turn more so now that we have an election year coming up. We won't talk about that here. But Discord is really stepping in as like the clutch platform these days for talking with communities. So Sharla put ours together for like Rubus stuff, and we've kind of branched out and made different rooms for all kind of different things, from like memes to baseball to Burning Man. But the people behind Live Nation have put together that big one too. What's the name of it? I don't have Discord up.
The Festiverse.
Festiverse, that's right.
And that's where they do the AMAs. I actually had a friend win some free tickets through one of their AMAs, and one of their friends in the Rubus group won some as well, right? Didn't Skylar?
Yeah, I think so, if I remember right.
I think that was who it was. They did a great job with that, though, and Discord really has, to Charlotte's point a moment ago, become this great platform for bringing people together to communicate about the things about which they're passionate over. And, I've seen it in the Rubus, I've seen it in Festiverse, and a few other things out there.
Yeah, I found some this week. I've been digging into some other Discord channels or servers, I suppose. Got to get the terminology right. There's channels in servers. I found some for like MLB baseball. There's like a local Huntsville, Alabama one, tons of different things. And they talk about the main thing that the server is about, but then there's all kinds of different off-topic channels that are helpful if you just want to goof off with friends, of course. But for our purposes, it helped us tremendously. We had some groups just with those of us that were planning different events so we could connect and have voice calls and stuff like that. That really came in handy for us. It connected us with you. We kind of knew what we needed, what we didn't need to do, what we did need to do. That was amazing.
It worked out fantastically this year. It helped me out, both communicating with y'all and the Rubus group, and also with my group. We have our own Squeak Squad Discord as well that we use sometimes. So
one other thing I wanted to talk about is Bonnaroo has done very well the past couple of years post-pandemic to actually reach out and work with the community. They have really been sweet to us in particular. I feel very spoiled. But Matt, how have you reached out with like some of the people in group or any of the people at Bonnaroo? Because that is something that inevitably, as somebody gets a bigger group, will have to do.
That's a great question. And it's not always easy. Bonnaroo has done a good job in recent years of becoming more one-on-one with the individual groups, especially a larger one like mine. But in the past, that wasn't the case. I would wait weeks for a reply. I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. The first year my group went over 50 people. I remember sitting here, and thank God I already shaved my head because I would have been pulling my hair out otherwise. It was a nightmare, but I got better at it over time to the point now that I can do it in my sleep. And it's nice, though, because they've made it easier for others. They're better about answering questions. But as I mentioned earlier, in those times where I was stressed, I was able to rely on other people I knew from the other groups because I'd helped throw a party the year prior. I was able to reach out to Jason and Mitchell when Jason used to be one of the organizers of Red-a-Roo. Mitchell still is one of the names over there. Some of the other folks around Bonnaroo that wouldn't be names anybody listening to this would know, but they've been doing it for years. My friend Kim is brilliant, and she's helped out a few times with me, just kind of giving me advice because she helps organize a group as well.
And there's a lot of let's say it this way, current generation Bonnaroovians who have just been going the past, maybe 5 years, who have started doing this stuff recently. Like I'll give you an example. The Rooham crew had a group here. So they're going to know now how to put a group together if somebody is interested in doing that. They're running a great podcast too. So that's another good group of people to reach out to if you're looking for advice.
I think it's amazing. And I think you and I were talking about this, I think Wednesday at Bonnaroo this year. We were kind of sitting at the Monkey Bar talking about how group is fascinating and that area has kind of been where long-term Bonnaroovians eventually flock to. If it's not RV or VIP, they come to group because of the community aspect, because it is the place where you don't just know your neighbors, you know this entire 10,000 person small little, neighborhood.
I love what's happening over there. I think group has evolved significantly from what it used to be. Like 10 or so years ago, it was a way to get in touch with like your friends, a group of people from your same town. And the main pro was, we're going to meet up in the same place. We don't have to worry about like caravanning. Yeah. But these days, I feel like group has turned into like a miniature burn situation, because you have lots of different groups that have different themes, different groups that are putting together events, groups of different generations. It's not just a way to meet others. It has become a microcosm of the whole community.
It really has. I think that's a great way to put it. It's fascinating. My group, we had somebody DJing almost every night. And I know Sunday evening during that rainstorm, our big tent was up and it was surviving well. We had people coming in because we had the music blasting. We had a mud party with like probably 60 people in our wedding tent, just 60 to 70 people, and only half of them staying with us. Half of them were, neighbors or new friends. Best way to put it, all dancing in the mud. So
we ran into the same thing when we got back from the Foo Fighters. I was helping Mitchell take down his tent, and we were starting to, just get a few things down for the next day that we didn't want to get soaked or whatever. And it started pouring, and our whole group was like, "Screw it, nobody's going anywhere tonight. We got one last night together." And I don't mind telling you, every one of us got messed up really bad.
Oh yeah, we got pretty turned up Sunday evening, to the point that breaking down Monday in the wet, like muddy ground was a nightmare, but it was worth every minute.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
That's a great example of how Roo turned something positive. A giant storm like that can really suck in a lot of situations, but I feel most people just made the best of it and threw down an epic party after that night.
My 10 by 10 canopy that night broke in the wind and the rain. Fell on top of my tent where my air mattress cot was in there. And it's 4 a.m. and I'm drunk. What am I going to do? I just kind of pushed the canopy aside, crawled into my broken tent, and just slept because it kept me dry.
Yeah, that same thing happened to Brooklyn. Like, she got a new rig this year. She got like a fancy easy up and a tent that attached to it, and it was destroyed. She was like, "Well, screw it. It worked for Roo. That's all I needed."
Exactly mine. Yeah, it's Sunday night, 4 a.m. I guess I'm only getting 3 hours of sleep in this collapsed, broken tent, as long as it keeps me dry.
Oh man. If anybody saw anything at Camp Groop Bus in the Monkey Bar that night.
Didn't.
No, you didn't. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you saw nothing.
I've talked to a few people that were at that party and was like joking about stuff that happened, and they're like, "Wait, what? Really? I was there?"
Yeah, nothing happened.
Oh,
we drank Kool-Aid and we sang Kumbaya. Nothing more.
All right, so Matt, we were talking a little bit about events and groups and everything. So I want to hear, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, I know. What would be your best advice to somebody that's a rookie at all this, that's coming to their first Roo, but knows that they want to get involved? What would you point them to?
The same thing I tell people in my group when we have multiple events. Follow your passion. There's so many things that happen around the farm. I know people that have hosted Dungeons and Dragons one-off games because they wanted a relaxing thing to do during the day.
Really?
I've seen... Yeah, they did a festival-themed Dungeons and Dragons campaign. I didn't play in it that day, but I knew it went on. I've seen people host bubble parties, some big, some small. I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, on Facebook, people were organizing the Bonnaroo prom, and it didn't happen that year, but what a great idea. It just find whatever, if you want to be somebody that's going to organize an event, put your mark on it, put your stamp on it. It is work. I'm never going to sugarcoat that. It takes effort, it takes time, it takes some frustration, but if you love it, if it's something you're passionate about, it's going to turn out well in the end, because you're going to be able to put up with all that frustration and really put yourself into it.
Something that I always tell people is find an underserved portion of the demographic. So there's a lot of different groups or people that have their thing. Let's say like David Bruce. Everybody knows him for photography.
Oh, yeah.
The Rooham guys, mentioned them already. You know, they're big on the beer and like they have a great podcast.
The Red Root Beer Exchange, one of those events that started with, I was with the first one and there was, I think, 20 of us there. And now, 1,000 plus people show up for that. So.
Oh, yeah. It was insane this year. But that would be my advice. Find something that you want to do that nobody else is already doing. And just get the word out. I mean, hit up Reddit, hit up Discord, put some stuff out there. People will inevitably come. That's the great thing about having an event that has 80,000 plus people. You're inevitably going to meet some people that are into the same thing you are. I would have stopped by the Dungeons and Dragons thing if I knew about that. That's great.
Yeah, I heard about it. I didn't go. I think I was probably a little reeling from the night prior when they were starting to play at sunrise, but I wish I'd gone. It sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And people organize costume nights where they say everybody dress up this way or that way, put out there, and you might not get all 80,000 people because that's an impossible task, but what if a few hundred people show up because they're passionate about it too, and nobody's put it out there before? To your point, it's been underserved. You're making friends that have the same interests as you. There's so many people, and everybody goes there to be themselves, to not pretend or put up this front. So if you're passionate about it and you think other people are too, you're going to find people that are. You're going to make new friends.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it any better. All right, Matty, we're going to take a quick break, and Sharla and I are going to edit in our thanks to our Patreons, and we'll be back in just a moment with our picks for this week. Hey everybody, future Daniel and Sharla jumping in here. We're editing in this after we have already talked with Matty, and I'm going to give you a spoiler. He has some background noise at the end of this episode that was really freaking me and Sharla out, and it's actually kind of funny.
You'll have to listen for it, but we're not going to tell you what it is.
Yeah, no, well, it sounded like he was like getting some eggs mixed up in a blender.
You said I'm not going to give spoilers.
And you said we're going to talk about it. Well, whatever. Just listen at the end. You'll hear what I'm talking about. So I wanted to check in and call out our Patreons and give a couple of updates on where our nonprofit is headed. All right, Charlie, you tell me first. Should we talk about the nonprofit or should we call out the Patreons?
Let's talk about the nonprofit.
All right. So, yes, since we have last spoken about this, we have had our first official board meeting. So we had a handful of people on to mostly brainstorm about what we're going to be doing. We talked about our goals. We talked about this in the whole big episode last time, the week before last, about what we intend to do. So we talked with our board about this. We kind of brainstormed a little bit. We got some ideas that we didn't even consider. For example, I'll give you one idea that came up. We talked about the scholarship thing, about how people might want to put an event together, kind of like what we're talking about with Matty this week. But Barry from the What podcast, who is on our board, brought up a great point. He's like, hey, what if instead of putting an event together, a young person wants to shadow somebody at Bonnaroo if they intend to make a career out of live music stuff? I hadn't even considered that. That was a great idea.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's something that we'll probably pursue. I don't see why not. And that's exactly why I have people like that on the board, so they can help us think of things that we haven't or wouldn't, right?
Right, exactly.
And I told them I don't want this to be just Daniel and Charlie's thing. I want it to be a communal thing. So I want to hear when we have, a bad idea or something could be done better. We're looking to expand our board. We'll be doing that in the upcoming months. The next big step is I will be working with my buddy Brad. We talked about him before. We actually just went to go see Smashing Pumpkins with him. You may have seen the picture of the funny-looking guy in the weird T-shirt on my Instagram. That's our accountant. He's helping me put this together. He's kind of crazy. Those of you that are coming to our Halloween party, you'll meet this guy probably. He's insane. We love him to death. So anyway, we're working with him to get all the paperwork settled and to have a charter that will be along with that. I don't know if that's technically the name of it, a charter, but whatever, some paperwork that will tell our goals, what we intend to do, how much money is involved, which from what I'm hearing from him, isn't that much. He's worked with some other nonprofits that are dealing with way more money than we are. We already detailed this. So if you didn't listen to the last episode, go listen to that to hear how much we hope to raise for things like the Haiti Project. We won't really jump back into it here because we already talked about it. Go listen to that. So with that said, Charlotte, do you want to go list off our Patreons that are helping us with this?
I'm ready.
Let's go for it.
All right. Samuel, Bliss, Austin, Madeline, James, Daria, Chelsea, a.k.a. Hygiene Queen, Ryan, Rebecca, Chris, Skylar, Daniel, Ernst, Bill, Harris, Keith, Casey, Chloe, Dave, Amanda, Aaron, Nick, Matty, McFerg, Kent, Randy, Madison, Scott, Greg, Eric and Ben, Evan, Jay, Chloe, and Sean.
All right. Thank you, everyone. That is at patreon.com/Rubus if you would like to be a part of that. It is funding our new nonprofit. Now, in the past, I had said that this was going to be Rubus Foundation. That's another piece of advice that we got on our board. We're going to have a new name for it that's going to kind of take the Rubus branding out of it. That way, we could expand to other festivals in the future if need be. And also, while we are very friendly with Bonnaroo, they're helping us out with this. We will make sure that it's a little bit separate so we can stay out of any potential entanglements or anything. Yeah. So name to be determined. That was a bit of homework that I gave to our board. In fact, some of our board is listening to this. So don't forget your homework. Think of a couple of names that we can brainstorm. We'll decide on that next month. And we will have more information on this as it progresses. We are purposefully taking this very slow. So you may remember early in the year, we kind of were, balls to the wall, so to speak, when it came to putting our events together, like all the different things that we did. But this, we're taking our time. We want to do this right. So things will be moving slowly and purposefully so for the next couple of months. But we do fully intend on providing a festival scholarship to a person or two, probably two, next year. More information to come on that. And we'll also be putting together the Big Brothers and Big Sisters thing. Look for that probably around October, right?
Yes.
Thanks, Sharla.
I had to think about it, so I had to make sure that I was saying it correctly because I don't want to say anything incorrectly.
Oh, no, I got you. Anything else before we go back to Matty?
No, that's it.
All right, let's go hit up our boy.
All right, thanks to all of our Patreons, and now we are back with Matt.
All right, Matt, I think you know what's coming up. We do this on most of our episodes. We have our picks of the week where we pick, an album, a movie, a show, a video game, a comic book, whatever it may be. You're our guest, and I gave you a heads up on this, so you're going to go first this week.
Oh, I'm going first. Okay. So I know you'll appreciate this one, Daniel. I've been catching up on some of the Star Trek shows I hadn't seen yet. I just caught up on Strange New Worlds, and it's fantastic.
So you've watched both seasons now?
I finished season 2 last night at about 1 a.m. I couldn't go to sleep despite having an 8 a.m. meeting because I had to see how it ended.
All right. So out of the 2 seasons that are out, what do you think your favorite episode or 2 is?
That's a good question. It's been fantastic. The musical episode is fun. That one immediately comes to mind because it's goofy and weird. The first time that you run into the Gorn and they're on that crashed spaceship and it feels like an episode, it feels like Alien or Aliens. Outstanding, intense. And then I really loved, I've come to love Mbenga. Joseph's my favorite character in this show now. And the episode with him and the ambassador, the Klingon ambassador, and the tension that comes from that, outstanding.
Yeah, that was, oh man. Usually the show is like kind of upbeat and fun, but that one went as serious as some of the old school TNG episodes. That was great.
It did. It reminded me of TNG or DS9, where it's like showing you the darkness of war and the depths of depravity that come from events like that.
Mm-hmm. I think my favorite in recent memory was the one where Spock became fully human. And I don't want to say why, because that was such a fun episode.
That was a blast.
Check that out. Yes. I'm so glad you're enjoying that. We've really been blowing the horn on that show, just in the same way that we did with like Ted Lasso a couple years ago.
Yeah. So, we talk about TV shows on the Discord. I think you were talking about Strange New Worlds recently. I've been a lifelong Star Trek fan. I hadn't watched yet, so finally got around to it. An exceptional recommendation. Thank you for that.
Hell yeah. I'm glad you're loving it. You have anything else for us?
I've been playing some Baldur's Gate 3, which, bringing up Dungeons & Dragons earlier, is a Dungeons & Dragons video game. I know you asked about it. It's a lot of fun. I think having the experience you guys have playing D&D, you would enjoy it. So,
well, that's my plan. I told Sharla for my birthday, just let me buy my video game, and I'm happy. I just want to do I won't have to bother her in Brooklyn to play D&D with me. I can just put it on the PlayStation.
Hey, it has multiplayer. We could play together.
Ooh, wait, can you do it cross-platform between?
Yeah, I think so.
Hell yeah, we got to do some campaigns together. That'll be fun.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Matty. Charlotte, you're up next.
No, you go.
Oh, me go?
Yeah, you go.
Okay, well, we were talking about video games, so this is an easy transition. I have really been playing the heck out of Star Wars Jedi Survivor this past week. It's the sequel to the other Jedi game from a couple of years ago with the Cal Kestis character. Actually, the actor from Shameless plays him. What's his name? Do you remember?
That's Will Poulter, right?
No, not Will Poulter. He was like the guy in Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Oh, yeah, I thought that's who it was. No?
The red hair guy from
Ian on Shane.
Ian on Shane. Well, Ian on Shane.
Oh, gotcha. Yes, yeah.
He actually is the actor, so they like got all of his motions,
very cool,
and everything. So he basically is the actor in the game, and it's so fun. It takes Star Wars into some like weird and fun directions as far as the story goes, and like the actual game is a lot of fun too. You get to do all the fun Jedi stuff like climbing up walls and flipping through the air, lightsaber fights and everything like that. I've really been loving the heck out of it. When I'm traveling for work here in a couple of weeks, I'm going to loan Brooklyn my PS5 so she can play it. She loves that kind of stuff too. But yeah, I was going to ask you as a pre-pick about Baldur's Gate 3. I'm really looking forward to playing that when it drops on PlayStation here in a couple of weeks. And as Matty mentioned, it's basically D&D as a video game, and I can't wait. It's getting like rave reviews. I can't wait to try it for myself.
What's your go-to race and class combo?
I like doing an elf, and I think one that I had been playing when we were playing on the tabletop was a ranger.
Oh, there's that Lord of the Rings in you playing the Legolas build.
Oh yeah, he basically was Legolas. It was like Legolas. What was yours, Charlotte? Do you remember? I remember Brooklyn was a tiefling. You were some kind of wizard. Yeah.
Wizard
we haven't played in a couple of months. We got to get back to that. All right. What's your pick this week?
Okay. So in 4 days, August the 25th, Zach Bryan has a new album that is coming out.
Oh,
I'm very, 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 very excited about it. So everybody should go listen to it because he is the best songwriter that I've heard in a very, very, very long time. That's my pick.
Do you think we get him back at Root next year?
It's possible. I mean, he's going to be touring again, so
he'll have new material.
Yes, so it's
is that the album I saw that he has like Casey Musgraves and a bunch of other people like featuring on it?
He's got Casey Musgraves, the Lumineers, and somebody else I can't remember, but yeah,
very cool.
Mm-hmm.
He has really blown up in popularity. Mm-hmm. I think if he does come back at Rude, there's no way he's in a tent. He's on Water Witch.
Yeah, he have to be.
Probably. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think by next year, if this album really takes off, he could pre-headline even. He's
like in that Tyler Childers slot from this year.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't he headlining or co-headlining Pilgrimage?
He's one of the headliners. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. He was really blown up.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he'll be able to play that song with the Lumineers there since they're also there.
Yeah, that's the point.
Any other pick, Sharla?
That's it.
That's it. Well, Matty, thank you so much for joining us this week. I really appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, since you're an Atlanta boy, you'll appreciate this. I've had the score on in the background. The Braves are beating the Mets now, 4-3. They
nice.
won. Yeah.
I love winning, but I love beating the Mets even more.
Oh, exactly. And I'm just going to say this is lovingly. I don't really mean harm on him, or I'm trying to give him too bad of a hard time, but I really love it when the Braves beat the Mets because we can give who from the What podcast a hard time about it.
Absolutely.
And look, this is all in good fun. This is just something that Braves and Mets fans have done for
he'd give it right back. I mean, that's the point of being a sports fan.
I know they didn't beat the Phillies last year in the playoffs, but man, sweeping the Mets last year at the end of the season, that was just chef's kiss, man.
And the what was it? The weekend or the week against New York last week, Mets and Yankees felt great as well.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody edited the Wikipedia article for the Mets and Yankees to edit the owner line.
Yeah.
By the way, if you love this kind of trolling about baseball, you got to follow Blooper on all of his social media stuff.
He is the best mascot in sports.
You cannot stop him. You can only hope to contain him. Those kids.
Good luck with that.
Mixing up there, by the way.
What?
It sounds like you're mixing something. Like you're getting. Something.
I was putting on the Brave score, and I just type aggressively. I abuse keyboards.
It sounded like you were getting something ready in the kitchen.
No, I abuse keyboards to the point that I have to buy a new one like every year.
My God.
No calm in these fingers when I'm typing. It's
no chill, dude.
No
Matt,
chill at all.
Thank you so much for getting on with us this week. We appreciate it. We love you to death.
Thanks, guys. I love you guys so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. We'll see you before too long. All right, everybody.
Fantastic. Have a great evening. Talk to y'all
Yeah,
later.
you too. Everybody get out there and radiate positivity. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
All right, Matty, that's perfect.
That was great.
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah. It went
Really
great.
did sound like you were mixing something in a mixing bowl.
I was literally typing in Atlanta Braves so I could check the box score. I hunt and peck and abuse keyboards. I get made fun of for it at work all the time.
The newest pitcher tonight didn't do that well. He gave up 3 runs at the top of the game. But
Who was that? I'm trying to pull it up now.
hang on, I got up the box score right now. I'll tell you.
I stopped typing in box score because I got called out for it.
no, it was funny. It was funny.
Alan Winans. He's the substitute teacher.
Oh yeah, I heard about that story. That's crazy.
Yeah, he pitched well against the Mets last week. I guess I figured they'd bring him back this week.
He did okay. He just gave up a couple of bad homers. Is all.
That happens.
But I don't know. They came back. Ozuna's hit 2 home runs. It looks like.
All right. Yes,
Ozuna
he has.
from
I
the
see it
Braves.
here now. 2 home runs, 2 RBIs.
All right, man. I'm gonna jump. We're gonna watch
I
ball.
love you guys. Have a great evening. Thanks for letting me be a part of that tonight.
Hell yeah, man. We'll see you later.
I'll talk to you later on. Bye.
All right, bye.